don't think, number one, I don't think I've ever had a countdown like that before. It's quite exciting. Good evening. My name is Tom Woolley. I'm the Managing Director of Food and Agri Programs at Startup Bootcamp Australia. Oh, that's still saying begins. I'm assuming, I'll just confirm that we are live. We are good. Okay. It's great to have you here joining us in person and online to celebrate the achievements of the inaugural Australian-grown Innovation Build cohort. I'd now like to invite proud Wurundjeri man Daniel Ross to welcome us to country.
Thanks, Tom. Like Tom, I don't like a lectern. There's something about a lectern that, well, is a little too colonial. How do you invite people into your home with a door closed, with a barrier in front of you? How do you expect your seedlings to grow without watering them? That's a lectern. My name's Daniel Ross, and I'm a proud Wurundjeri man. And I want to take this opportunity to share a little bit of my story, my ancestors' story with you all. And Bunjil is our creator, the wedge-tailed eagle. Bunjil created everything we see, from the stars in the sky to the roots of the trees in the ground. Now those roots of the trees intertwine through one another, sharing water, resource, as it travels away from the waterway. Just like we share knowledge from old to young through time. Bunjil taught us how to listen and how to care. But it's 2025. What does that look like? And as you walk around, you'll notice we're in a season called Porneet. We've got 6 seasons, not 4. But when the wattle blooms, we pause, we check in on our old people, those knowledge holders, those living libraries. So if there's somebody you haven't spoken to in a while, reach out, see how they're going. It's up to us to keep those libraries alive, because when they join the dreaming, those libraries are gone forever. But there's a flip side. There's yam daisies coming to flower. There's tadpoles in ponds. There's exciting new beginnings everywhere we look. And just before, I was talking to Tom about a place that we've got on country called Bollumbollum Billabong. Now, the Billabong's set, for those of you that know Melbourne, you've got Thompson's Road, Bulleen Road, the Eastern Freeway, and there's a Billabong right in the middle of all of that. And there wasn't water flows there for over 100 years. And we reintroduced, with the help of the Water Authority, some seasonal flows. And again, we're seeing stuff grow, food and plants that haven't been seen there for over 100 years, demonstrating just how resilient the Australian landscape is. The Birrarung runs through country like the blood in our veins, providing life and resource. The MCG was once a place of song, dance, ceremony. Tanderrum. We would come together with our neighbours, the Bunurong to the south, Wadawurrung to the southwest, Dja-dja-wurrung to the northwest, Tunurong to the north, Gunai-Kurnai to the east. It was home. But we were forced off home to a place called Corranderk. And Corranderk was one of the most profitable missions of the day. Sorry, reserve then. But my question begs, who was it profitable for? We weren't allowed to speak our native tongue. We had to learn to read and write English before we'd be forwarded a meal, let alone a paycheck. So for those of you joining us today that still speak your native tongue, embrace it, nurture it, teach future generations, because losing language is an absolute travesty to the fabric and identity of who we all are. And at the mission, Uncle Billabilary was our head man, and then come Uncle William Barak. And for those of you who wonder about who Uncle William Barak is, if you visit the shrine and look towards Carlton, you'll see his face standing over 30 stories tall, still overlooking home today. He advocated tirelessly, not just for First Nations, but for all of us. The knowledge he had to share would benefit generations well beyond his time. My great-grandmother, her tribal name was Bullumbulum. And as the weather warms up, you'll notice Bullumbulum everywhere. So gentle, caring, nurturing. Actually, maybe not you lot, because little white butterflies, they're fantastic, but they might eat your seedlings, and then you won't be so impressed. But the old people have a way of knowing, a way of guiding. And the old people gave Nan the tribal name, Bullen Bullen. Nan would be instrumental in opening the first health service for Aboriginal people here in Victoria. But she was born at Corrandirk, but her story and my story weren't so dissimilar. You see, on the mission, Nan wasn't allowed to play with coloured kids, nor was she allowed to play with Anglo kids because she was fair-skinned, but Aboriginal. My first day of school, I wanted to share stories of Bunjil, our creator, Wah the crow who would bring us fire, all those stories that I'd learnt from aunties and uncles. Except I was told I wasn't Aboriginal because I was fair-skinned. And I went home questioning who I was. And my grandfather, one of our senior elders, sat me down. And he brought me back to Bunjil's law on how we listen, how we care, and how we come together collectively as one. And that's not just by the person who's sitting beside you, but it's exactly what you're all here for today. It's innovation. It's listening to everything that's around us. And if you've got an hour, I'll share a little story about me and my son. We went fishing the other day. And this is me and my son's moment of sharing that how we listen. And I let him get his rod out, and we're standing by the lake, and I asked him, where's the worms? And with great disappointment on his face, he started packing his rod up and we went home. So the next morning, I woke him up at 4:30. And he wasn't happy about getting up that early, I promise. But the first thing he said is, we've got to get worms from the servo. So we got worms and we went back to the same lake. And before he had a chance to set up his rod, I asked him to start rolling rocks over near the water's edge, where he found those worms. And it's teaching him to listen, not just to me, but what he hears and sees with his eyes, his ears, what he feels through his feet when he's standing on country, understanding that reciprocal relationship. And I ask you all to hold that on the forefront whilst on Wurundjeri country, on how we listen, how we care, and how we come together collectively as one. Because when the balance is right, we don't survive, we all thrive. I want to pay respects to my elders past and present. But more importantly, I want to pause and pay my respects to each and every one of you and acknowledge your elders past and present also. Woman Jika Wurundjeri Bulak, Yemen Gundibik. In the Woiwurrung language, I just said welcome to the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. Now I mentioned that we weren't allowed to speak our native tongue. And I don't like to think language dies, it just goes to sleep for a little while. So if you can help me say thank you to the organisers for putting this event on by repeating after me, that would be phenomenal. Nun? No, you're going to put me to sleep. Come on, we can do better than that. Nun? Godjen. That's how we say thank you in the Woiwurrung language. Our traditional lands go west to the Werribee River, north to the Great Divide, east to Mount Borbor, and south to Mordialloc Creek. Nun Godjen.
Thank you, Daniel, for such a beautiful welcome. And now here is Dr. Anna Barlow, Startup Bootcamp Global Food and Agri Partner, to give our welcome address.
So I definitely don't want to stand in front of the lectern now. So we'll go with that and see how we work. Thanks so much, Daniel, for your wonderful welcome. Welcome to the inaugural demo day for the Australian Grown Innovation Build program. On behalf of the Startup Bootcamp and Cluster Connect team, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome our partners, investors, mentors and ecosystem members with us here in the State Library of Victoria, and those joining us via the live stream from across Australia, the Netherlands, Singapore, Italy and the UK. Have we got a show for you? I first want to pay tribute to our amazing cohort that are sitting here in row 2, probably feeling very nervous right now. Thank you for being the first group of brave participants in this ambitious 5-year program. Now, we know that Australian horticulture is among the best in the world. And we also know there are very good reasons why it needs to be better. And hopefully the next slide will come up. Maybe the guys upstairs will help me with that. Now, horticulture itself has a lot of challenges. Rising labour and input costs, increasing impacts of climate change, coupled with lower fruit and vegetable consumption are all challenges that need addressing. We also know that innovating in regional Australia is hard. In fact, research from Ready Communities has shown that innovating in the regions can take 2 years longer and cost around $200,000 more than innovating in the city. Now, the Australian Grown Innovation Program is designed to help close that gap. This program is the program for horticulture by horticulture. It brings together Startup Bootcamp's global ecosystem of food and agri-tech, of industry-relevant coaches and mentors, and it's backed by the power of Hort Innovation's network and deep industry expertise. Now, we're very lucky to be partnered by the Cluster Connect group of 6 regional food clusters. In Queensland, the Food and Agribusiness Network, Victoria, Food and Fibre Gippsland, in Western Australia, Noongar Land Enterprise Group, in New South Wales, Central Coast Industry Connect, Ferment Tasmania in Tasmania, and the Northern Adelaide Plains Food Cluster in South Australia. These 6 food clusters ensure that we are connecting at grassroots level across the entire country. Growers, producers, founders, mentors, state and local government supporters, corporates, all contributing to a genuinely national innovation community for Australian horticulture. Now, our program kicked off in April with 9 engaged sessions that we ran across the country, in person and online. In June, 14 brave entrepreneurs entered the incubate stage. And in August, our current cohort of 10 companies entered the 12-week build stage to create their minimum viable prototypes. Today is about celebrating that first cohort's achievements. They've built prototypes, tested ideas, spoken to growers and customers, they've challenged their own assumptions, taking real steps towards delivering better outcomes for Australian horticulture. Let's be honest, the entrepreneurial journey is seldom glamorous. It's equal parts curiosity, chaos, late night, what am I doing moments. But if you keep at it, there are brilliant flashes where everything comes together, and I'm 100% sure today is going to be one of those days. This cohort has lived every one of these moments, and that takes real grit. Innovation also takes vulnerability, the willingness to try, fail, iterate, and laugh about it later, and we have had a lot of laughs. But what we're most proud of is the strength of the relationships that this cohort has built. They've supported each other, pushed each other, and in many cases, they've become each other's first customers. Now, a program of this ambition only works with strong collaboration behind it. To Hort Innovation and the Hort Frontiers team, congratulations on launching this vision, and thank you for trusting us to deliver it. A big personal thank you to Anthony, Jesse, Maxie, and Shannon for your continued support and guidance. To the Hort Industry Service Delivery Managers, R&D Managers, and the whole SUP Hort network, your engagement and sharing this program with your networks has been invaluable, and we really look forward to working with you closely over the next 4 years. To our Industry Steering Committee, Jonathan Davey, Lisa Fife, and Ben Hoodless, thank you for your feedback, leadership, and advocacy behind the scenes. To the Global Startup Bootcamp team, our coaches and mentors, many of whom are in the room tonight, our enabling partners AWS, Google, HubSpot and Facet 5, thank you for your support. Now, we're incredibly excited that we will be announcing our corporate partners as we kick off the next Incubate program in 2026, so watch this space. Programs like this don't just support the cohort, so if you are a prospective partner, think about the fact that you may be a larger company looking to de-risk your innovation pipeline. Maybe you want to access emerging technologies earlier or collaborate with the horticulture sector's next generation of innovators. If you'd like to explore partnership opportunities, please come and talk to me during the networking session. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce somebody whose leadership, vision and commitment to the future of Australian horticulture innovation has been instrumental in bringing this program to life. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Anthony Kachenko, General Manager of Production and Sustainability R&D, to the stage.
Thank you very much, Anna, on that very warm introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Privilege. It's an absolute privilege to be here before you this evening with an esteemed audience of opportunity that will dazzle us in a moment. leading the horticulture industry to deal with the challenges but highlight the opportunities that are facing a $17 billion sector. It started with vision, as Anna said, and I was very fortunate to have a board that stood behind us and said, let's do something different. Let's not see innovation walk past hort innovation. How can we diversify our channels and attract innovation closer to hort innovation to benefit the grower? I was very privileged as well to have a fantastic panel of growers and others supporting me. Georgia Beattie, who's in the room here tonight, said, let's do something different. She had the appetite, the drive, and supported that vision. And it's amazing when you assemble the right components, what can be achieved. It was only February when we signed off on the investment with Startup Bootcamp Australia. Not even 1 year on, and we're at a demo day, the first for horticulture, which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal in terms of the pace at which we've been able to drive tonight's event. So a big thank you to Anna, Tom, and the team. And team is critical in innovation, and been very fortunate to have some fantastic people at Hort Innovation ready to do things differently. Jessie Reeder and Maxi Jung and Carla Brown in particular in the Frontiers team have been phenomenal in being able to shift the dial. So well done. And so the challenge for horticulture now is how do we keep the momentum strong? How do we keep driving change? Because not a day goes by that a grower doesn't look at what's next. And so for Hort Innovation, we are looking at what does that opportunity look like? How do we build the momentum? We've got a venture fund 12 months in. We've got Australian grown innovation that is going to dazzle you shortly. What's next, ladies and gentlemen? So have a fantastic night and enjoy.
Thanks, Anthony. Before I call the first presenter onto the stage, I wanted to give you a quick rundown of the session. We'll be having 5 presentations from the cohort, then our keynote speaker before we hear from the final 5 companies. There will be a QR code shown on the screen. It's going to be in between each of the presentations, may be coming up on the screen shortly as well. The purpose of that QR code is it takes you to an online form. That's for people online as well as in the room. It's going to serve a few purposes. So connections or introductions for the cohort can have a material impact on their success. And there's a box for each company. So if you've got a suggestion of people or groups you think they should be talking to, or even better, an offer of an introduction, we'd love you to fill that in for the companies. And you can be doing that throughout the session or at the end. We've also got an investor game. We've given you $50,000 of imaginary money to invest in the ideas. Not real money. I wish I could be giving you real money to invest, but we're not quite there yet. You can choose to invest in one, or you can split it across many. I'll be announcing who got the most funds at the end of today. You can fill this in as you go or at the end of the last presentation. For those online, you're not going to have the opportunity to network and connect with the companies and the ideas after this session. So there is a box on the form for the people online. If you've got questions, fill them in. We'll provide them to the companies and they'll come back to you directly with those answers. Don't stress if you can't get the tech to work. It's just a bit of fun and we're happy to take questions or feedback via email or just conversations afterwards. Okay, that's enough of us, the formality, so let's jump in for our first presenter.
From Smart Melons, Rodney Atwood.
Thank you. Not a lectern, a hat stand. There we go. Hi, I'm Rod from Smart, and I'm here tonight to tell you how we're working really hard to try and get you a great watermelon every time. Before I do that though, I do want to thank AGI and Startup Bootcamp for their assistance and support, because without that, we wouldn't be here tonight. So thanks guys. But my question is, how do you pick a perfect watermelon? Well, actually, farmers go out into the paddock every day and cut hundreds of melons trying to assess maturity and quality. Over a season, they cut tons of melons which are then unsaleable. But they're doing this to determine when that paddock is ready to pick. And when they determine the paddock... Good tip. Good tip. Sorry about that. I have got a good voice. Should I start again? When the pickers go in, that's when guesswork takes over. And we know that they get it about 60% right. What does that mean? Well, that means 4 out of 10 melons on the retail shelf aren't quite right. And I know we've all eaten that watermelon that isn't quite sweet enough or is just that little bit flowery. If you look at it on a worldwide scale, that's 40 billion kilograms of watermelons every year that could be better. And we need to do better because we leave consumers disappointed and we leave retailers dumping fruit. And retailers tell us that watermelon is their most wasteful fresh fruit category. But mercifully, the solution is at hand. We have a handheld device that's simple to use, it's patented, and in our field trials, it's been better than 80% accurate. And no melons are harmed. For farmers, this means less waste, less labour, better data, and that all adds up to better productivity. For our retailers, again, it means less waste, consistent quality, and what do they want? More customers. And for those of you who are old enough to remember Con the Fruiterer, plenty of beautiful melons. And for your family, a great melon every time, which encourages them to buy more and they'll pay more if they get that great melon every time. And importantly, more watermelon smiles. We've made great progress. Our proof of concept prototype is done. Our MVP is built, I'm wearing it. And we have farm trials actually happening right now. So our ask is pretty simple. We need $1 million over the next 12 months to scale our device production and to do a lot more farm trials. We need to build out our data and analytics platform and to get our marketing campaigns activated. So if you'd like a juicy slice of this success, come and talk to us upstairs later. We've got some watermelon up there for you. Thank you.
From Bureau of Meteorology, Michaela Alexander.
G'day everyone, I'm Michaela from the agriculture team at the Bureau of Meteorology. And we help farmers and agronomists use smart weather data to make smarter on-farm decisions. So people in agriculture need to make good decisions, and weather is a fundamental aspect of this. So having worked as an agronomist in my previous life, I know firsthand just how stressful a lot of these on-farm decisions can be. Weather impacts profitability, pest and disease management, logistics, and everything in between. And if you get it wrong, the consequences can be devastating. Financial loss caused by pest and disease outbreaks or missed opportunities by missing optimised sowing dates or irrigation scheduling. So where do people get this information from? They use apps which rely on good weather data to give good information. The agriculture sector is increasingly data-driven, and the ability to integrate high-quality data into their platforms is crucial for sustainability and productivity. The problem is, while these apps are perfectly good, the data that they draw from the Bureau is sometimes not so good. So we have the best information, but no one can get it effectively. Accessing our data is really hard. It's in an old format and doesn't integrate well with other softwares. And ag tech companies tell us this: we really need good data, but we just can't get it from the BOM. So we're making Bureau data, the best data, easy for everyone to access. Instead of what's happening now, we're creating APIs. And what's an API? Think of it like an adapter. So if you're travelling overseas, you've got all your Australian plugs and you've got an international adapter so you can use your appliances and whatever overseas. So this is what an API is, but just for data. So app developers can now choose what data they want and what data they leave behind. And farmers now know that they can get the best information. So where are we now? Thanks to the AGI Build program, we've got our proof of concept, we've got industry support, and our next steps are to lock in strategic partnerships to help progress the development and then launch to market. So we're looking for ag tech innovators to partner with us to test the portal and help refine the product, so making it seamless for launch. Thank you very much, and looking forward to speaking with you upstairs.
From Pectin 360, Martin Kadvarek.
Thank you, and I'm going to go with the flow and reject the lectern as well. Okay. My name's Martin, and I'm originally a chemical engineer and scientist by background, and I'm here to talk to everybody around recycling fruit waste. That picture doesn't quite work, does it? I'm sorry. About recycling fruit waste to make pectin and fibre invaluable ingredients for the food industry. So what's pectin? I mean, I'm a foodie and I know what pectin is, but most people have never heard of it, even though it's part of everyday products. It's what makes yogurts spoonable and jams set. It's an irreplaceable ingredient in many products we have for breakfast, lunch and dinner. However, it's the only non-vegan setting agent and it's all imported into Australia. What's the problem? Well, it's all imported and comes from overseas, which means that there's a huge amount of risk and uncertainty around quality, supply and price. That means if you're a manufacturer, it can shut your factory down. No more yummy yogurts and jams. I mean, excuse the pun, not happy jam. Okay, what's our product? Well, we're looking to recycle fresh fruit waste and we need tons of it. We'll convert that waste so it avoids going into landfill and make pectin and fibre that's fresh, of the highest quality and reliably supplied. We have a disruptive technology that makes it very cost effective. Additionally, we create regional jobs in Australia and we support our farmers and manufacturers. So what's our process? Well, I call this the secret sauce. We look to use fresh fruit waste, which is cheap as because it's being dumped and it's almost infinitely available. We convert that waste through our innovative process or factory. We use less than a third of the power to make it compared to traditional methods, and we can make it for less than half the price. In fact, it's so good, we have patents in the pipeline and we have trade secrets to protect it. Finally, the outcome is Australian-made pectin and fibre, reliably supplied at a cost-effective and fair price. So I've spoken to customers across the board. There's some unanimous themes that come back strongly. The products taste better, they taste natural. There's a consistency in the product that people love. And from an operations point of view, the product is stable and performs consistently well. That feedback is unanimous. The opportunity is large. I mean, that number there is just the Australian market, but it includes fibre and gelatin substitution. The global market's huge, as you can see. That number there doesn't include fibre and gelatin substitution, and both of those opportunities are huge based on evolving customer trends for healthier products and lifestyle. This slide's a bit busy, but it's worthwhile going into the detail. We've been fortunate enough to receive a significant government fund through the CRCP program worth $2.1 million, an endorsement by the government that what we're doing is good. What we've done to date is we've completed bench scale production trials. We've looked at buyers and customers and have got a large and growing database of future users. And we've done an evaluation of our commercial facility and pricing model, which were both fantastic in terms of the result. We're currently securing a fruit waste site where we can get the fruit waste at no cost and fresh as. And we've started the design and development of a pilot plant that will allow pectin and fibre samples to be made to key buyers. We're looking now to raise money to match the CRCP funding, make those critical samples for customers, and start to raise money for our commercial facility. What are we asking for? Well, for the Australian market in our initial steps, we need to find around $1.8 million worth of funds, which will match the CRCP grant. That enables us to finish the pilot plant and make samples for customer validation. Following on from that, we're looking for an investment of around $12 million, which will fund a commercial facility that will address 60% of the Australian and New Zealand market. Now, I'm an engineer with a lot of experience. That sort of investment, given the market opportunities you saw before, is a very modest investment for a huge potential upside. So, I mean, this keeps me awake at night sometimes. I mean, I sort of come to the conclusion, what a waste. I mean, with your help, we can turn this sort of waste into something that's great for Australian industry, manufacturing and the consumer. We'll provide a high quality, reliable supply of pectin, upcycled from fresh fruit waste that's cost competitive, whilst creating regional jobs at the same time. I thank you for the opportunity. I thank AGI and Hort and the Startup Bootcamp. The relationships have been built and the support we've received is fantastic. And I look forward to talking with whoever's interested in helping us along after the show.
The next presenter is, we have a recording. Jess was unable to make it over from WA, but I know she's online, so hello. But we're still going to give you a hype call from the hype man in the front row.
From the Bee Buddy, Jessica Brunner.
But the equipment that we use is still the same. And if it's hard for me, then it's hard for anyone who doesn't look like a big beefy bloke. Injury risks, expensive equipment, physical demands all lead to poor engagement, low biosecurity compliance, colony collapse and beekeepers exiting the industry. And it's not just the hobbyists. Hi, I'm Jess from the Bee Buddy and I am the world's worst beekeeper. Beekeeping. Imagine you're in a sauna. Now imagine that you're weightlifting 50 kilos. Feeling it? Beekeeping is hot, heavy work. I started because I wanted pretty flowers and bigger veggies, but my first year was catastrophic. I killed thousands of bees, wasted kilos of honey and a lot more money. I still kill bees and waste money, But I've also learnt that bees are vital for pollination and food security, and bees are significantly at threat worldwide. So I'm going to tell you a story of how a hobby beekeeper with a conscience is working to become a hive hero. Did you know that the beekeeping equipment that we use today was invented by a man for men back in 1851? The industry has changed and there's less grumpy old men, but the equipment that we use is still the same. And if it's hard for me, then it's hard for anyone who doesn't look like a big beefy bloke. Injury risks, expensive equipment, physical demands all lead to poor engagement, low biosecurity compliance, colony collapse and beekeepers exiting the industry. And it's not just the hobbyists. It affects all commercial beekeepers and pollination providers as well. Bees need beekeepers, but beekeeping is hot, heavy work. So I took all of those catastrophic lessons and I used them to create the Hive, a new hive, designed to simplify beekeeping and reduce the hot and heavy. The Bee Buddy makes it easier for anyone to be a beekeeper. It's an integrated transportable hive system that simplifies processes and equipment, incorporates the latest in biosecurity management, and reduces the weight handling risks and injuries associated. There are some alternatives in the market, however, they're just tinkering around the original design. The Bee Buddy is a modern approach to managing hives, driving the wholesale change that's needed to transform the industry. It's the only one that creates a cost-effective, all-in-one system designed to minimise the beekeeper's pain. Easier beekeeping will encourage more people to be involved at every level of the industry. More beekeepers means more healthy hives and more secure food futures. Beekeeping is a significant industry worldwide, with AgriFutures valuing us at $14 billion per year in Australia alone. There are 80% growth rates predicted in equipment costs and pollination services across the next decade, and we want to be part of that. The beekeeping has an international patent registered with a company structure to encourage future partners and licensing opportunities. Thanks to Ag Innovate, we're now ready for manufacturing and we're looking for business partners who want to help us get the Bee Buddy to market. Thank you.
From Owls Eat Rats, Alastair Duncan.
Hello everyone, I'm Alistair and I'm from Owls Eat Rats. So if I said to you that it's not the easiest time to be a farmer, I don't think anyone in the room would disagree. Pressures are building up on both sides. On one side, you've got to push to cut chemicals. On the other, a shifting climate and pest explosions. And rodents form one of those pressures. Rodent management is basically a black box. You put your baits in and you hope for the best. The logic behind this is that if you do not bait, rodents will get out of control. And while that's true, that loses sight of the bigger problem, which is that rats breed really fast and the baits just can't keep up. What if there was a solution that worked with nature instead of against it and just got better over time? Owls eat rats. It's not such a novel solution. As we just saw, we rely on nature to pollinate our crops. Why not to protect them too? So we work with farmers to create safe habitats for barn owls who move in, breed and hunt. Barn owls are good parents and great hunters. So each breeding event takes about 1,000 rats out of the system. And this adds up really quickly. On our pilot farm in the Northern Rivers, in just 2 years, we went poison-free. Most farmers have to manage rats, and anywhere that baits are going out, there's room for something better. Up until now, we've mostly worked with small to medium farms, but right now the people who are getting in contact with us are the larger corporate farms, the bigger orchards. And I'm going to be honest, the farm managers are pretty keen for this. I haven't met anyone yet that doesn't love the idea of having owls in their orchards. And the ESG angle, it also matters too, because investors want to see a pathway to chemical reduction. They want hard numbers. Coming into Hort Frontiers, we had very simple goals, which was One was to build habitats that could support barn owls. 2 was to have immediate feedback, real time. And 3 was to make it commercially viable. So we've been working across the Northern Rivers to expand our footprint out and now have over 20 paid farms on board. Best news was, in the first week of installing our new tech, we got feedback that there was that barn owl activity. Follow-up monitoring confirmed breeding across multiple sites. So for anyone in the room that's not a giant bird nerd, this is really good news. It means that we've got barn owls breeding and hunting across our target areas. And that's just going to scale with time. We recently went up to Bundaberg and we're working across the macadamia industry there. We're building some projects. And our next focus is going to be avocados because it's the same regions and it's the same rats. But for this idea to scale, we need to be able to look at the impact side of this. We need to have the tools that measure what's actually happening on these farms because that's what's going to give the farmers the confidence to drop the poisons, and it's also what's going to unlock our full commercial abilities. So we've been working with some academic partners to design these tools, but now we're looking for investor and industry partners to come on board to help us build them. And if you'd like to be, part of growing this idea, we would absolutely love to talk to you. So thank you very much and have a lovely afternoon.
Thanks, Alistair. Strong start, halfway. Loved it. So now we're going to just move on to, I'm going to invite Ben Peacock for our keynote speech today before we move on to the second half. Ben.
Lectern, be gone. Keynote speech is one word, halftime entertainment. So when you go to football and then the kids come on at halftime? Yeah, here we go. So thank you, my name's Ben. I'll tell you a little story for halftime entertainment. And what great story doesn't start by saying this is a story about sustainability? Because how exciting sustainability? No, just kidding. I've spent 20 years trying to help companies do sustainability. Get them interested, Get big businesses, small business, medium businesses to go, hang on guys, there's opportunity here, we can do something good for the world and good for your business too. And I tell you, it's a pretty tough game. It's a pretty tough game. Because what I find is as individuals, we get it, right? Waste, everyone hates waste. So I think it's built into us as humans to dislike waste, We know that water is becoming a really precious commodity. We don't want to feel that our favourite snack food killed an orangutan, that sort of thing. We don't like plastic in our oceans. We don't like pollution in our air. We don't like any of these things. But then when we enter the business context, things kind of change. Because when these problems are brought to business, they're like a spanner in the cogs. Businesses fundamentally were set up to make money, and they figure out how to do it well, and they do it better every year over time. And then we go, hang on, guys, we've got to worry about these things. And business just doesn't quite know how to cope. So what happens is of course, change happens in small pieces. You get these incremental changes in business going, well, look, we can't affect any of this because this is our, golden goose. We can't mess with the golden goose. So we'll make a little change here and a little change there and a little change there. Which was probably fine about 40 years ago, but you don't have to go far in the newspaper now to see that evolution ain't going to cut it. We kind of need revolutionary ideas if we're going to solve problems like deforestation, climate change, plastic in our oceans, etc., etc., etc. We need revolutions. Which brings me to the story. So I had for almost 20 years a company called Republic of Everyone where we helped, as I say, business deal with these things. And it was 9 o'clock. I was sitting there at my desk. For anyone who has watched Stranger Things, 9 a.m. Monday is a time for coffee and contemplation, right? Opening scene of Stranger Things. When the phone rings. And it's a major international snack food company on the phone, one that's like on all the shelves in the supermarkets. And they said, hi, Ben. And I said, hi, because I knew them. And they said, what are you doing on Wednesday? And I said, you're about to tell me, aren't you? And they said, we need you to run a workshop for us. I said, oh, yeah. How many people? And they said, about 60. I said, right, when did you decide you wanted to do this? Did someone drop out? They said, no, we want you to do it. I said, what, you just decided to do this? And they said, no, we decided on Friday. I thought, this is strange. Anyone who's worked in a big company knows nothing happens at this speed. At 3 months is the planning on this, not 3 days, yeah? Anyway, so rolled up on Wednesday, and there it is, the biggest room that they've got in their big head office, and there's every innovation, brand, and marketing manager from every single brand is in the room. And I'm like, okay, I still don't know why, but here we go. And the lady who'd sponsored it, who'd brought me in, who'd rung me, got up and addressed the room, and up came on the big screen a picture. She said, we're here today because of this brand, Tony's Chocolonely. Now, if anybody hasn't seen Tony's Chocolonely, if you walk into a supermarket or a lot of shops, it's beautiful, bright, colourful packaging and really delicious flavours, and it stands out. It's got shelf appeal, and it's definitely got mouth appeal. But what's really interesting about that brand is it was created with an absolute purpose in mind. It was a guy from the Netherlands who was an investigative journalist. And what happened is he did an investigation, a TV show, on the fact that almost every piece of chocolate in this world comes from West Africa originally, the cocoa, and the supply chain is full of slaves. And he made this documentary and thought, well, that'll change things. Everyone went, great documentary, and of course, that didn't change things. So he then thought, I'll do a stunt. And he went to the police station. He said, I've been supporting slavery. Arrest me. He had a camera there. Police laughed at him. Yes, see you later. And so he went, you know what? The only way I'm going to change this is to actually pioneer a new supply chain that does not have slavery in it and create a chocolate brand. So that's exactly what he did. And he went and he figured this all out, and he brought it to market. And then he went, see, look, we can do this. And he showed other companies his supply chain. So if I can do it, you can do it. Why don't you step into my supply chain? And of course, anyone who's ever followed the story, or if you look it up later on your phone, you'll see it's gone absolutely nuts. It went to #1 brand in the Netherlands, where it began. #1, straight to the top. When it went to the UK, top 3 brand. Anywhere it went over Europe, top 3 brand. Knocking off the perch of companies like Mondelez, Mars, Nestle, on those sorts of things. This is an upstart startup with an absolute purpose of solving this problem by creating a great product, who's gone and knocked these 100-year-old companies off the leaderboard. And it had terrified them, as you can imagine. And that was when I realised why I was in the room. They were coming to Australia, and suddenly this company was like, we need to build some sort of sustainability into every single one of our brands to protect from this upstart coming to Australia. And that was a huge aha moment for me. Because as I say, I've spent like 20 years almost trying to figure out how I get more interest in this in companies. And I realized that when the future of the market is threatened and somebody finds something better, that's when the world changes. And what seemed like it was only evolution was possible, suddenly we have revolution. And you realize that the startups are the revolutionaries of the business world. And that when they win, we all start to win because they change the world. Another example, you can't mention sustainability without mentioning Patagonia, right? Everyone thinks, wow, Patagonia, and they're insanely cool, right? But they're a $1 billion company, which sounds big, but in the world of retail apparel, clothing, that is not very big at all. That's not even big in outdoor retail apparel. But think of the oversized impact they've had on the world. You cannot have an outdoor brand anymore without having looked at your entire supply chain. You can't even have, in a lot of cases, a clothing company without having some sort of a story. And that's because of what they've done. So these upstart startups are the ones that force change much bigger than themselves. So that is kind of my message to you, is to look at these companies and go, it's tempting to go, oh yeah, it's like an innovation and it's great, and which one will win, and one in X will win, and I'll put my 50 grand there, and it's a bit of a game, and it is, and that bit's fun. But there's something bigger at play here. And we don't need one in 10 of these companies to win. We need 10 out of 10 of them to win if we want the world we want to live in, you know? We need ours instead of chemicals, so we don't have chemicals in our ecosystem. We need food waste to turn into wonderful new products. We need great ways of reducing the amount of water that gets used on farms, etc., etc., etc. And those ideas are right here in this room today. So my big request of you is, by all means, put down your 50,000 fake dollars. Actually, we've rigged it up so you donated 50 grand when you did the QR code. No, by all means, do the 50,000 and have fun. But I've got a challenge to you. I reckon there's about 100 people in this room, and there's probably a few more hundred online. Here's my challenge. If every single person in this room just thinks, I can help one of these companies in one way, that's whether just investing in them, that'd be nice, real 50, introducing them, someone showing them something they might not have known, talking about them to somebody who might be able to help them, anything. Just pick the one idea you're interested in, and if everybody just in this room does it, that means each company would have 10 helpers, getting them to succeed. And we'd have a pretty good chance of getting them all over the line. So that's my message to you. It's bigger than just business, this. This is about creating the world we want. So please do one thing for one company, and maybe we can start creating the world we want. Thank you very much, and back to the show.
From FieldBound Engineering, Luke Nelson and Ben Davis.
G'day everyone, my name is Ben and this is Luke and we are FieldBound Engineering. We are taking the labour out of drip tape irrigation. 150,000 hours. That's how much time is spent every year in Australia just getting drip tape into the ground. Think about that for a moment. That's thousands of hours out in the heat, lifting heavy spools, laying kilometres of tape. And why?
Because drip tape is awesome. It's a huge advancement in irrigation technology. It delivers water exactly where it's needed, right to the plant's roots.
Drip tape isn't the problem. It's getting it in the ground.
Currently, drip tape is laid on the back of tractors with teams of workers like you see there. It's slow work in dry, dusty conditions. Now, it's a bit hard to tell, but that's me up there. I've built and operated these machines, so I can tell you it's one of the most painful, time-consuming jobs on farm. It's stressful, costly, and often inconsistent. Leaks, tears, and stretching are just about guaranteed.
Based on our grower outreach, we have identified 4 key areas where current methods just aren't cutting it. Labour, cost, speed, and quality. As a result, we have reduced. Go through the slides. we have reduced the labour requirements by up to 75%, meaning that one person can now do the work that used to take 4. Furthermore, our modular design can be adapted and retrofitted to existing equipment, keeping costs low, all the while increasing the number of hectares that can be laid every single hour. Finally, our robust line of sensors ensures that the tape is laid perfectly every single time, meaning no more leaks, no more tears, no more worries.
So at FieldBound Engineering, we've mechanised the process to lay the tape without the labour. With the help of the AGI build program, we've successfully built and tested lab prototypes that prove the concept works. The next step is field trials. We want to get this machine onto 5 key Australian farms over the next year and refine it alongside these growers. With the data we collect from this, we want to take this solution across the nation and make this problem a thing of the past for Aussie farmers. Next, we want to tackle the larger international market.
To do this, we are seeking investment to carry us through and finalise our build phase before finally taking us through to commercialisation. Guys, We are really excited to solve this problem that farmers have been struggling with for years. So if you care about high quality, farmer-driven agricultural machinery, we would love to talk more with you about this. So come see us, the boys at FieldBound Engineering.
From Summit Laboratory Services, Elizabeth Blotfagel.
Thank you so much to everybody. My name is Elizabeth Blotfagel, and with Summit Laboratories from Adelaide. I want to take you today to spotting the invisible and how spotting the invisible can save an entire industry. I grew up in Chile where my mother grew the most beautiful tomatoes. They were sweet, tasty, you can smell it far away. Then I moved to the US, and in the US the tomatoes were big, but bland, and often with a waxy coat. I don't know what it was. Finally, when I moved to Australia, I rediscovered those tomatoes. I rediscovered the passion of the growers, probably because the Italians and the Greeks of the area of South Australia. But there was a problem, and it wasn't a small problem, it was a big problem. In 2024, there was a huge virus that attacked South Australia. Was never seen, ever. The culprit, and probably many of you have heard of it, tomato brown rugose fruit virus. It was devastated. Entire industries closed, entire companies, a lot of people lose livelihoods, and it was a true COVID moment for the industry. But that's not all. And this is just the beginning. Outbreaks have become more and more frequent and more harder to stop. Take example of this virus. This virus not only attacked tomatoes, it went also on peppers and chilies. And we don't know how far it's going to go. We have here examples of other viruses attacking potatoes, watermelons, and wheat. This is not the end, guys. This is just the beginning. So what is our solution? And I'm not going to talk anything strange to you or scientific to hear. This is what we will see if we see the virus that devastated an entire industry. But I'm not going to talk about what it means and all those lines. What I want to tell you that this technology is so powerful that we can detect even the smallest amount of virus that you can find. But why? Early detection can help you and your business to grow. We are partnering right now with the Northern Adelaide Fruit Cluster, and this is not what we want to see, because this is the positive sample of a virus. We want to see an empty box with no lines. That's what we want to see. That's how we want to protect our growers and the whole industry. So there's a huge potential for this. We have about 3,000 tomato growers alone in Australia. 2,000 tons of tomatoes are grown every year. That's $500 million. We can explore the market even further in chilies and capsicums. Our timeline. This is not in the future. We are ready. We are technology tested and approved. We are approved by Persisardi as the first private lab in South Australia to do so. And we can do a lot more virus to protect it. We are ready to be commercialized. We can help you growers to keep peace of mind, to sleep at night. Nurseries to keep those beautiful seedlings going and reputation alive. Scientists to help all your research and all your needs. I want to thank you, everybody, and thank you to all the startup group and Hort Innovation for all your support and help. And if you want to chat and you want to talk to us, we are upstairs. Thank you.
From Long Road Olive Co-operative, Kaylee Mayo.
Trees in central Victoria on the edge of Dja country and Tongarong country. We're known, our size grove is what's known in the industry as a large small grove, and we're by no means alone in being described in this way. In fact, every single one of our trees represents another grower of similar or smaller size just in Victoria. Together, we have a problem. The average age of Australian farmers is 55 and rising, and many in the small-scale olive industry are older than that already. Family and friends have long since given up helping with the annual harvest, as the romanticism of owning an olive grove meets the reality of the hard work involved. Ideally, olives need to be processed within 6 hours of picking, and many commercial processors require at least half a tonne of fruit before they'll even take your call to make a booking. Now, it takes around 48 hours for 2 people to pick this much fruit by hand, and then a lot of people have up to 6 hours round trip to drop their fruit to the processor before they get back to the farm. And don't forget, you've got to go back another 6-hour round trip to pick up the oil, because most processors don't have a while you wait service. So it's no surprise that many olive trees goes unharvested each year, and the fruit ends up shriveled on the ground, like the image on the right. In 2009, Charles and I bought our own equipment and started a small batch processing service on our farm. While travel time is still a consideration for some growers, our minimum batch size is just 50 kilos, 1/10 that of most commercial processors. We're currently working, but the challenge that we still have is that our maximum batch size, because of the size of the machinery, is 200 kilos. So there's still a gap in the market for growers who have more fruit than we can handle, but less than the big processors can actually work with. We're currently working with over 450 people from all over Victoria, South Australia, and southern New South Wales with our small batch service. So, and we know that there are at least 2,000 other growers just in Victoria who have a similar problem with the picking and processing due to their size. So with this deep understanding of the problem to be solved, earlier this year we incorporated the Long Road Olive Co-operative along with a handful of other growers, some of whom are here in the room tonight. Our plan is to take production to the people with a mobile olive processing facility that has a 1 tonne per hour capacity, similar to mobile shearing services in the wool industry, or a mobile dog wash for proud puppy parents. In addition to saving growers transportation and logistic costs, it will increase the quality of olive oil that's produced by decreasing the time between picking and processing, and also increase the amount of local oil in the local market. At the same time, the cooperative is reclaiming what is currently considered waste from the processing cycle through reclaiming the pits, pomace and pruned leaves into new olive products. So we have a clear vision for the next 12 months of operations, which actually starts this Wednesday night with a webinar for potential co-op members to learn more about who we are and what we're trying to achieve. And with that membership drive, we will be able to create co-op capital through the annual membership fees, as well as revenue through the grove management services, which will help our growers to bring their abandoned olive trees back into production for next year's harvest. Next year's harvest will begin in early April and go through until the end of June in our current facility. But when we purchase the mobile olive processing facility, we can actually double that production season from 3 to 6 months by starting with the harvest up in Queensland, which begins in late February, and working south as the fruit ripens through New South Wales and Victoria, finishing in Tasmania at the end of August. We're looking for a $400,000 investment to purchase and commission that mobile press. And we're also looking for members for the co-op. So if you know anybody who has a olive tree or some olive trees that are currently a bit of a daunting problem for them, come and say hi, because we know how to help.
From Ace Apples, Mark Triscoma.
Hi, I'm Mark. I've been growing apples for more than 20 years. I've spent over 3 decades working across orchards, packing sheds, wholesale markets and the retail supply chain. In that time, I've watched something important quietly disappear: the connection between the people who grow our food and the people who eat it. And today I'm here to show you how to fix it with Hoo-groo. As you can see, we work hard on the farm to protect the apples from the elements and encourage them to be the best that they can be. Now, I know they're not all perfect, but I like to think that they're of a consistently high quality. But it's easy for those apples to be lost in a sea of bad apples. Sorry, I should have warned you about the quality of the apples on the retail shelf. I'm not saying they don't belong on the shelf, but some of them belong in another aisle, in a bottle as juice. When fruit looks better while it's still in the farm, before it has been washed and polished, than what is on offer on a retail shelf, it is clear to me that the supply chain is broken. And of course, consumption is declining because every time a shopper buys an apple, they're playing apple roulette. Apples are just the beginning. What about an avocado that has a ready-to-eat sticker on it, but it's either hard as a rock or soft and brown inside because someone's been squeezing it like a stress ball to check if it's ready? I've seen a lot of shoppers that don't know how to select and handle fresh produce. There are millions of them out there. It's time to engage and educate them. I want to be able to walk into a retail store and be proud that I'm part of the fresh produce supply chain, but right now I'm not. I'm not alone with this problem. There are more than 11,000 growers of fresh produce in Australia, and if they're anything like me, they're aware of these problems, sick of them, and ready to fix them. They are solving these problems in Japan. You can walk into the store, see exactly who grew the produce. If you like it, you can keep an eye out for what else they grow and find them again next time. It's not so easy to do that here. With a system like this, they don't even need stickers on their produce, and one day, neither will we. Now, we can do something similar, or even better. Hoo-groo is a collaboration between Ace Apples and Fresh Activations. It is a simple idea with a big impact, reconnecting the people who grow the food with the people who eat it using technology that everybody already knows how to use. You just scan the produce you're interested in, and bam, you can meet the grower. There I am. It'll show you how to select and handle and store your produce, along with recipe inspiration, nutritional information, and fun facts for kids. Buy your produce, take it home, eat it, and let me know if it was great or not. This is not just a marketing tool for individual growers. Hoo-groo is the bridge that brings the entire supply chain back together through the Hoo-groo Supply Chain hub. And for consumers, the experience feels modern, transparent, and human. It builds trust, it builds loyalty, it builds repeat purchases. Today, we have a functioning prototype. It's not pretty, it's simple, it works, and it proves the potential of the platform. We're ready to test and gather data to confirm that we're on the right path to deliver real solutions to the fresh produce industry. We're here today looking for expressions of interest from industry representative bodies and supply chain participants who are keen to collaborate with us to move forward to retail adoption. If you represent a progressive, future-focused organisation that wants to see growers better supported, consumers better informed, and fresh produce experiences dramatically improved, we'd love to speak with you. Thank you.
From Bowen Gumlu Growers Association, Jen Honoree.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me. My name's Jen and I'm from the Whitsundays in North Queensland. You might have heard that the Whitsundays are all about winter sunshine, islands and beaches. And you'd be right, they're pretty bloody amazing. What you mightn't know is that same winter sunshine grows a lot of the fruit and veg that our growers love to eat. Unfortunately, about 30% of what we grow, that's around 2,000 fully loaded semi-trailers from our region, doesn't make it to market, doesn't make it into your trolley, and certainly doesn't make it into your home. Our growers might feed some of this produce to their cows, they might pop it on a roadside stall, or they might just mow it in. The harsh reality is that this produce costs the same to grow as a premium piece of fruit and veg. That means 30% of everything we spend, we throw away. I'm here because I've experienced this firsthand as a grower. I understand the heartbreak when those bins of fruit don't make it to market just because they're out of spec. That's 12 months of some seriously hard work and some serious investment just to be thrown away. But up in the Whitsundays, we're a pretty resourceful bunch, and we reckon that's a truckload of potential right there. So what if there was a way to take our 2,000 trucks of potential, package all of that goodness into a treat that stands out, not only for its natural nutrients, but also because it's pretty yum. The sort of treat the kids beg for every time you hit the road. The sort of treat that boosts your energy and your focus right around 3 p.m. Tasty snack that lasts the distance alongside you. Well, as part of the first phase of the Bowen Food Futures project, we're pretty excited tonight to present our mango pops. 100% mango, packed with all the nutritional benefits that you'd expect, and ready to pop when you are, of course. We've tried and tested these guys with our kids, and we've tried and tested them with the fussiest mango eaters of all, our growers. Our mango pops are perfect for on the road, on the trail, and on the go. So during the build phase, we worked with a team of food experts from Process Partners and SciTech. And of course, this was all made possible through the Australian Growing Innovation Program and our new friends at Startup Bootcamp. We engaged with CSIRO to run the first round of trials on the latest drying technology. We wanted to ensure that our fresh mangoes were dried gently and retained just enough moisture for the best mouthfeel. Most importantly, no nutrients were sacrificed in the process. Upstairs we have samples, so make sure you come and see me. But that's just step one on our journey. So we've worked hard to find the right technology and put together the right team. And of course, we're supported by a region of growers who are really passionate about finding innovative ways to take our produce to the next level. So, the Whitsundays are so much more than mangoes. Who knew that? We have a pilot plant ready to be established. And then next up, we're going to take a deep dive into the opportunities for our other commodities. Tomatoes, capsicums, corn, beans, melon and pumpkin, and lots more. I'll get in trouble for not saying all of them. Our pilot site will be located in the heart of our growing region. And that means minimal food miles for the freshest produce. And most important, and our purpose for doing this, the delivery of real returns for our growers. We're just 7 months away from beginning our pilot operations, and our processing capability will grow from 100 kilos a day right up to 2 tonne over the next 5 years. So, we are a not-for-profit grower group. Collaboration always has been for the last 100 years and always will be into the future are key to success. Our project will offer opportunities for every grower, but we're looking for that same collaboration with industry. We want to get our ideas market ready and scalable. We'd love to have a chat tonight, if you have the time, for your support through our pilot phase and beyond. We're passionate and we're looking towards a future where every piece counts and every grower thrives. Thank you.
Amazing work, everyone. Please make your submissions for the investor game now. I'll be announcing the winner very shortly. Don't worry, not going to send the bill, but please put that submission in. It's just a bit of fun. Over the coming weeks, we have several one-day Australian Grown Innovation Engage sessions around Australia. Ballina in New South Wales and South Australia on Thursday this week. Tasmania on Tuesday the 2nd of December. WA on Thursday the 4th of December. And then we've got an online session in late January. And so this is an opportunity for you to start your journey as part of the AGI program. They'll be sharing, we've got QR codes that you can scan out in the room, and we'll be circulating some links to the people that are here today and online. Applications close for the next Incubate cohort on Monday the 2nd of Feb. If you're interested or know someone who you think would benefit from that phase of the program, please come and talk to us or send us a message. Thank you today to the AV team from Creative Vision and Audio. Thank you to the Hort Frontiers team for creating the opportunity for these ideas to come to life in horticulture. Thank you to the in-person audience and the online audience. These events don't happen without you. And I've got another little thank you, but I'm just going to save that for a little bit. So today we've had the privilege of hearing from some of the most creative minds driving innovation in horticulture. And as Ben kind of mentioned, supporting these ideas is essential for developing the next wave of solutions for hort in Australia. And I encourage everyone who's here today to collaborate and engage with them after today's session. We've got the networking showcase upstairs. Come and have a chat, grab a drink, have a bite to eat, and learn more about the people that have been up here on stage and getting it out there for everyone to see and just putting themselves out there. So I'm going to get I think I've got someone bringing me an envelope up here now for the project. So here we go. Even I don't know. The winner of the imaginary fundraising is Pectin 360. Well done, Martin. And a final thank you. So just a huge thank you to the inaugural Australian Grown Innovation Build cohort. We spoke to you early on in the program about finding your early adopters, but for this program, you're our early adopters. You've put yourself out there, you've been vulnerable, just the dedication and the effort has just been remarkable. You're the crazy ones that are paving the way for the future years. And personally, it's been one of the most enjoyable and rewarding programs that I've been involved with. And just best of luck. We need you to succeed. We want you to succeed. It's just the amazing effort. So just another round of applause for the cohort. For those online, this is the end of today's event. Thank you for your attendance from all around the globe. The live stream will now be ending. For those in the room, please head to the networking space, grab yourself a drink and a bite. The showcase will be starting shortly, but I'd love to just invite the cohort up onto the stage. Any coaches, mentors, team members of the cohort, AGI, Hort, come on, jump up. We'll have a bit of a photo, but thank you everyone, and I look forward to networking with you shortly.